Hi everyone, Assalamu alaikum. I'm going to make two separate interface designs for you in this video, and I'm gonna make these two in Photoshop in front of you, and I'm gonna explain the basics of these two first, and then I will maybe stop my audio because there is gonna be some noise in the background. So you can just watch the basic steps, and then I'll keep doing everything, but I will mute my audio for a few minutes. And then because we will be using these two or any of these designs, this is just to teach you the basics of Photoshop and all the tools which we are using over there. So if I'll go to Photoshop, first you have to make some settings inside Photoshop so that you can make any website layout. So you can design website layouts in different resolutions depending on your screen size. So if you press Command N and you go to web, then you can see here web most common 1366 768. But as we all have big MacBooks with us and this it has good resolution, so we are gonna use this one, web 1920 1080, and then just press OK and you will see this canvas. The way you see my canvas was showing you this grid, and you enable it by going to view, click on show and click on grid. The moment you press that, computer will show you that grid, and I press Command H and Command H to hide it, hide or unhide it. So this grid I will use to make a design like this one. Okay, so if you see this one, I've just made this design in terms of some rectangular pattern, and then you can see some shadows going on, there are some logos, there is some fonts, and there are some icons here. So making these icons or this sort of stuff, you can either go to Illustrator and trace them using pen tool, or create your own sketch and make them, and or you can download them from internet and then you can use the free ones. And this second interface is the similar kind of the one which we are making in the classroom, and I have already explained this to you. And you can see here, if you use all the pictures with the same clarity, then the interface is not clear enough. So what I have done over here is, in case of this layer, I'm gonna make a copy of this one, and I will go to filter view, and I will go to blur, and I will go to Gaussian blur. And you can see here now picture is a lot more, the interface part is a lot more clearer, and and the background is a little bit blurry. So this is the way you can make a copy by pressing Command J and then apply the blur, and I can unhide this layer anytime. And rest I have already explained to you. How do you change this picture? For example, this picture. First, how do you even make it? You can press Command Shift N to make a new layer. For example, this layer, and you can always make a rectangular selection. If you press Shift, you see I can make a perfect circle. If you don't press Shift, then you can have these ants over here. And these ants or this selection area, you can fill it with any of these two colors. And if you press D in Photoshop, it becomes to default black and white. And now I can right click here, I can go to fill, and I can fill it with lots of options here. You just need to play around with these two. Foreground color, I press OK, and I have black rectangle here with all this selection right now going on. So what I'm gonna do is, always when I have this selection, I will go to my select view and then I will deselect it, so that I don't have any selection. Then I can bring in any picture of your portfolio from internet, wherever you have saved your picture, and I have opened it up. I'll press Command A to select everything, Command C to copy, Command W to close that document, and here I'll press Command V, and you see the big picture comes in because this picture was really big. After this, I will right click here and I will click here, create clipping mask, and you can see that picture. Always I go back to this tool, move tool, so that I can move this object, and you can see that picture is shown within this rectangular area. I press Command T and I press shift key down, and then I can make any picture smaller. And if I want to make picture smaller from both sides, I press shift and alt while I am doing anything, and you can see here I have a new picture over here as part of my portfolio. So once you have this picture shown inside this rectangular area, you see here, you just need to select them both by pressing shift key and then right click here and click merge layers. Either you can do it like that and now this picture is one object, or you can do this. Command select these two, press Command E, and these two are together now. So this is the way you are gonna make all these pictures. Rest, this black thing is basically a rectangle. We can make this in Muse over there when we will go there. This is just my icon. This is some text I have used here. And another important thing for this video or making the website in Muse and Photoshop is usage of fonts, because the fonts which I'm gonna use over here should be the fonts which I'm not gonna export them as .jpg. You will never write .jpg here to export the pictures. You will only write jpg over here. For example, I will call this logo.png because I need this picture to be transparent, and I'm talking about this picture which is my logo. And all these pictures I can name them .jpg because they don't have transparency, or you can still name them .jpg or png. But in case of this rectangle, this background panel, you see this one. So how do you make this one in Photoshop? I'll quickly make another copy for you. Command Shift N to make a new layer. Go to selection mode by pressing M tool, and I'm just making a rectangle area. Then I can press Command Delete to fill it with this background color instead of right clicking fill, then pressing Command D to deselect everything, then double click here, and then you can go to drop shadow, and then if you see here, my shadow is already set to white. I'll make it to black, and I press OK, and I increase the opacity, and I change the angle, and then I make the distance a little bit farther, and you can start seeing here, this is the shadow. Then I can increase its spread, means just a little bit more. I can increase the size of it. You see here, size, and you can already see something is happening here. And then if I press this one, you can see this is an object with this shadow going on. Then I can always come to opacity and reduce its opacity. So this is the way it has been made over here, but I will tell you how to make this overall white covering area inside your web page in Muse in a different technique. So we are just making this over here to show that how can we display stuff like this over here in Photoshop as part of our design. So I'm just gonna delete this layer, and rest, this is text, these are all the pictures, this is also simple text, and you already know how to do all of this. So what I would like you to do is that please start with a new document, press Command N, and it should be click to web, and then 1920 into 1080, and then press OK. So you will have a canvas like this. So how did I get a canvas bigger like that one? So I can come here, I will go to crop tool, and in the crop tool you can make a big selection like this, and you see I have made my canvas bigger. Or you can just click over here in this newer version of Photoshop. You see, the moment I press artboard and I am in this tool, you see computer automatically tells me if I want to make the canvas size bigger, artboard size bigger, and you can make your canvas bigger in any direction just like this. So this is the way I have increased the size of my canvas. Alright. So this is the way, also if you can go back to your move tool. If you have made two pictures from here to here, for example, this was the new picture which I have made. If I would like to align this picture with this one, you can see computer can already start snapping this picture into this one. So you see here, if I move this picture over here and I select this one and this one, because these are the two, so I will select these two and I can press this button, and you can see these two aligned by like that. And if I press this button, this one aligns with the top of this area. So these are the basic techniques in order to make an interface like this one. I'm just gonna pause it now, and then I will explain rest of the stuff for this sort of design, which involves a lot more detailed tasks, and then I will continue. So before you do any of the design, you will be needing fonts from internet. So for example, in this design or in this design, you see here I have used the font. You check here, Fajala 1 regular. So where did I get this font? These fonts are not actually your computer fonts. You have to use fonts from internet in order to make your website. So if I'll go to Chrome, and you have to go to google.com/fonts. These are the fonts which we will be using in order to make any of your designs in Photoshop, so that once you use fonts from here, you can use those in Muse. And I'll show you in Muse. So if I go to create on new site, this is just for example to you. I'm just opening a new project. I'm going here and I will write here Milan, and I increase the size from here to 48. You see here the font which I have selected has this small word globe sign here. It means this is coming from internet and its name is called web font. There are other fonts which are standard, and if I come here, system fonts, and you see here it is written exports as image. So if I will use here, for example, this one, and you see here icon as well, it means this font will be exported as a picture and not text. It will not be clear and crisp in your final website. So you have to select the fonts which are the web fonts. If I go to web fonts, you can always click here and add fonts from this place. But in order to download the fonts from here into Photoshop, it will also, you see this typekit icon, it also shows you in Photoshop as well. And if you see here, add fonts from typekit. So for this, your Adobe ID needs to be signed in, and you need to have the fonts linked with your account, and sometimes this can give you some problem. So we will use Open Google Fonts for our website creation. And you see here there are hundreds of fonts here. It's a long list. For example, if I come here and I select this font and I click add to collection first, you need to be signed in into Google, and it's named Passion one. I already have this one. Let me see this one, Candle. So I will remove this one, and this Candle one you can add as many fonts as you want. And then for this one, if you press use, it will give you some coding here. I will explain this when we'll start Muse, but before you do that, I have this one font in my collection. I will click this button, and here I will click download fonts. So the moment this font comes into my computer, candle.zip, I can go to my folder in the downloads. I'll copy this just to place it inside my computer. This is my local computer desktop folder. I double click here. Computer will give me a folder here, and then you just have to double click on the font and then click this install font button, and you see here not installed option is mentioned here. So I click install font. So now this font will come into your inside your computer. Okay, and this is its name, Candle. So I just have to quit my Photoshop now. I'll just save everything. I will quit Muse as well. I'll open Photoshop again so that it loads all the new fonts. So in Photoshop, if I'll go here, you see here again my grid is being shown. I can press Command H to hide it, and I can open both my documents. And then if I just make a new box here and I write here Bilal word, and then if I come here, its name was Candela, and you see here Candela regular, italic, whatever I want to use. If I select regular, I can increase its size, and you see here I have a new font which I can play around with. So for this project I just downloaded few fonts, and these are the names. You can exactly download these ones or use your own, but before you get started you have to download the exactly fonts which you will be needing in your website design. So I'm just gonna click here and I'm gonna delete this. So to make this design, if I'll show you in all of this, there is this main background which I have made, and this is the text on the left side, these are the social icons, this is the text on the right side, this is the search bar, this is just some another text, this is the blog area, this is the bottom icons, and this is the footer area. So in this whole project, in this whole design, I will be using these techniques which I'm just gonna show here, and then I will not record my voice because it is gonna take some time, and I will speed up this video in the end so that you can watch me quickly and then go through it. Otherwise the video will be really long. So you can either come using the M tool. You see here I'm using M tool, and I will pick any color from here, and I can fill this color by pressing Alt Delete, and I'll go back to V tool. I'll press Command D so that I don't have anything inside it. So now you see here what is important in this is I have some shadows in different places. So how do we create these shadows? I will just explain this over here and then you can continue with me. So I can make my rectangle in this way, or I can go and make a new layer and use this rectangle tool as well. So if I make my rectangle in this way, then I can go here and I can go to direct selection tool, and I can, you see here what I am doing, I made a selection like this using the white tool inside this black and white arrow, and here I have selected a path and I can move it, I can play around with it. Alright, so if I press yes, so it is now a path, it is not a rectangle anymore. And when it was a rectangle, this is the difference. I'll just show you. If I'll come here, if I am making a rectangle, you see here there are certain properties of this rectangle, and you can see here I can change its this corners width. For example, if I write here 1 pixel here, or maybe I will write 10. You see there is this chain icon here. It means I change one value and all the other values are also changing. So I can do many things. I can give it some color here if I want. Maybe I can give it a yellow color border, and border's width is this one. I can change it a lot. So I can play around with these values. But if I come here and I change these 2 points and I move them like this, computer is saying, oh, I will change it into shape. Shape means the path which is made by a pen tool. So you can play around with this stuff on your own, but I was just saying this, that if I go here and I make a rectangle, so I can make rectangle either this or this way, but there is a difference between them because here I had to make the selection, and everything has its own options to play around with. And when I'll make this website, you will understand what are their pros and cons. So just to add some shadows or add some highlights, there are many ways. For example, if I would like to have a soft shadow on the bottom of this rectangle, I can go to my brush. I'll have to make a new layer, and before I make a new layer, I can always press Command Shift N to make a new layer. I'll go to my brush. In my brush, I will change my setting to little blackish pattern, and here we go. I am in brush tool, and you see here in my settings my hardness is really low and my size is bigger. Hardness means brush, if I increase the hardness, you see my brush is really hard like that, right? And if I come here and I change it back to this place, my brush is gonna be like that. And if you see here, this is the opacity. If I increase the opacity to 100%, now you see this is total black brush stroke. If my opacity is less, then you will not see it that hard. You see, it looks like gray color, although I have selected black arrow, black color over there. So I will just put a dot like that. Maybe I'll do it 2-3 times so that it's a darker shadow. I can press Command T to make it smaller. I can make it bigger on both sides by pressing Alt and Shift, and I will put it underneath this object, and you see it is not going underneath because the layer is not over there. So now if I put it like that, you see what I'm doing? I've just made some shadow here, right? It looks like shadow. And then if I come here and then I can make a selection using M tool, and you see here what I'm doing, I'm just going underneath this object and I press delete, and you see it looks like this is this object shadow, and I'm using arrow keys to, it start looking like that. Now if I would like to fill this objects inside with some shadowing just like the way I've done over here, so you see what I'm gonna do. For example, I would like to make this triangular area over here, so I can make a new layer, or you can just come to pen tool, and in pen tool make sure this is not path, it is set to shape. So it means whenever I am gonna make a new shape, it's gonna look like a new shape and it will not join with this one. So I will just come here, just come here, and then I will close it over here. You see this circle? It means it is closing down. Then I can double click on my shape, and then I just need to pick this darker color, and it already looks like this is, part of this object. But it will still not looking exactly like this one because I just need to add some further shadows here. So in order to make the shadows, I will have to the exact selection of this object. So I'm pressing down command and I click on this object to get the exact selection, and I can do the same over here. If I click and drag, click and just click on this layers square box here, it gives me all this selection. Then I'll go to my brush over here in this layer, and I'm gonna make a new layer, or you press command shift N. On this new layer, you see what I'm gonna do. Right now my brush is black, it is 150 in size, opacity is a little bit less, and you see what happens here. I'll do something like that. You see what is happening? I am adding some shadow inside, but this is not exactly the straight line. So in order to have the shadows in a straight line, you see what I'm gonna do here. I click here once, and then I press down the shift key and I click on this side. You see I have a straight line here. So this is the way I've been adding some shadows inside these objects over here. And if you see here, it looks like this object has some shadows inside, and this is the layer which is making shadows. And you see here, if I decrease the opacity, it will be softer amount of shadows. So this is the way, I've made all of this objects over here, and this is the only approach which I am gonna use in all of these. So I'm just gonna mute my audio and I will start making this. And other than that, I have used here a grid so that everything aligns with each other. And then you can also press command R to have the rulers and have your guidelines set like this. I can explain this more in the class if you want, and then if I press command H and H, it will always show me my guideline as well. So now I'm gonna mute my audio, and then why can't I select anything? Because I am inside a folder, I am not on a layer, so I have to have a new layer in order to start doing anything. So I'm just gonna mute my audio now, and I will make this file from scratch in all the steps, and I will speed that video up because it will take some time. Okay. So now that we are nearly done with this interface design, you can always make everything into one layer and then adjust their placement. So I can always press this one other than my background. I can move all of this into the middle. If you think it is really on this side, maybe here it is fine. And then for this one, you see here I'm pressing command and I click on any layer and I go inside that special folder. So this footer, maybe it can come here and stay in the middle of the page. So now I'm just gonna save it and then I can show you the way Command Shift S, and I just saved it as a PNG or JPEG as well, so that I can show you it over here in my Photoshop for video. So this is the way this interface is gonna look like over there in Muse. So how will we take it into Muse? How will we do the animation on this one? That I will tell you over there in Muse, but make sure you have these fonts, whatever you are gonna use, in downloaded format, and in your Muse we will import them. And this is the first interface we made, same as we were doing in the class. So I will make this website and this one both over there in Muse, inshallah. So I'm just stopping this video over here and then we will continue in Muse from now onwards, inshallah.